Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Super Paranormal Chronicles. Today, I'm delighted to be talking to some funny talking Brit guy called Tommy Cullum, who is famous for the Let's Get Freaky podcast. Tommy, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you very much for having me, man. Awesome to be here. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, so Tommy is, like I said, a fellow podcaster like myself, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of paranormal stuff. So, Tommy, before we get into your podcast and what you talk about, tell me a little bit about yourself, including what's on the back of that baseball.
Oh, no. I knew you wasn't going to like it. So, I'll start. I'm from the UK. I'm from Essex, which is right near London in the UK. Now I live in Dorset, which is just on the south coast of the UK. And I started a podcast about coming up to 3 years ago now called Let's Get Freaky. And it's basically, it's all aspects of the paranormal, ghosts, cryptids, UFOs, everything strange, even a little bit of conspiracy as well. I've always been fascinated by the subjects of high strangeness, and I've had experiences myself from a very young age, which I'm sure we'll get into. And it's sort of, in my mind, I know this stuff is real and I know the possibilities are endless, so I find it also fascinating. And I just get cool guests on who normally share their experiences, or, we go down some rabbit holes and stuff like that, but it's mainly like paranormal experiences. And yeah, man, I just love it. I'm just fascinated by everything strange.
That's absolutely awesome. And just for the record, what time is it in the UK, Tommy?
The time right now is 1:35 a.m., which is quite strange.
This is how crazy some UK people are. Hence why I moved to Canada.
Well, I said to you before, I found it strange, like hearing your accent talk back to me at this time, because this is the time I normally record the podcast. Normally, I record all through the day, but it's normally this time because I'm normally talking to people in the US or Canada. So this is very normal for me to record at this time, but I'm not normally getting a British accent back, so that's quite strange, but cool.
Yeah. At least we don't have to get a translator in this time.
No.
Good.
And the hat I'm wearing, I know you. It's not your Boston, but it's the Boston Red Sox, my baseball team. I know. Yeah. I apologise. I'm sorry.
Let's not talk about that.
No, we won't go down there.
but in all fairness, they do suck this year, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, my friend. So, how did your paranormal trip start? Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I was always one of those weird kids that was scared of the dark from day one. Since I can remember, I always felt like there was something in my room, like most kids do. We feel like there's something in our room, we get scared. And I was always like getting in bed with my mum and dad through the night if I ever woke up and it was dark. I was just a very scared kid. And to be honest, I still am scared of the dark now. So if I'm at home and the wife's out, or I'm in my room on my own in the dark, I have to have like a light on, or the telly on, or I'm playing a podcast, because I can't just be in the dark. I can't relax in the dark, basically, probably because of what I've experienced. So I grew up in a haunted house. What I would say was a haunted house. A lot of strange activity used to go on there. You're very typical haunting stuff. You'd hear people walking around at night, weird noises, weird vibes sometimes, like you feel like something's watching you. Things used to go missing, and the whole family felt it. So me and my brother, we felt this. My mum and dad, that they had experiences and felt it as well. And it wasn't until we sort of left that house, we moved out when I was 12, that really we sort of opened up as a family and stuff. I know me and my brother was quite young. I was 12. He was 3 years younger than me, so they didn't want to talk to us about ghosts and stuff like that anyway. But It wasn't until we got a little bit older that my mum and dad were like, yeah, there was something strange about that house. And I remember when we left the house, my dad was like, I'm so glad we got out of there. I'm so glad, because there was something. We had good times in the house. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't always negative and strange, but there was something there. There was a presence there. And I had an experience when I was around the age of 10. And it was sort of like I had some weird experiences as a kid where, like, you wake up during the night and you see something and stuff like that. But never something like definitive until this moment. So me and my brother shared a room, and we had bunk beds, and I was on the top bunk. And as I said, if I woke up during the night and all the lights are off, I would panic, get in bed with my mum and dad straight away. And at this point, I'm 10 years old, and they've had enough of this. So whenever I did this, it was like, no, you're going back to your room, and I'd be crying and stuff, and I didn't want to do that, but I started to do that. But on this particular night, there was one night where I woke up and all the lights were off in the bedroom, and me and my brother, like we had Fred Flintstone curtains. Still, we had these Fred Flintstone, Barney Rubble and Fred Flintstone, and like you'd wake up and you'd see their faces because like the street lights would come in and it would light up the curtains. And we had like, I don't know why, I think there was a stage where the Flintstones kind of came back and we had all Flintstone stuff. I think like the first movie came out or something, and at the time it was quite a big thing, and me and my brother loved it. But anyway, so we had Fred Flintstone curtains, but the light was coming in from the street lights outside, and I've woken up, and me and my brother had like a desk that was sort of in the corner of the room, and I've woke up and I've sort of looked down at the desk, and there was just a man sitting there at the desk, a full
Wow.
bodied man, just like not just like me and you are right now, just a solid form man. And I just screamed, like, obviously
I'm real. I'm okay.
yeah,
I'm real.
yeah, you're real, I'm real. And this dude looked, I think we're real, and this dude looked real, like he was like solid. And I just remember obviously screaming. Now the weird thing is this guy, he he looked like he wasn't from our era. He was like, he had like long brown hair. He had like a little beard. He had like this brown suit on and brown, but I could see him very clearly, very detailed. And he looked like William Shakespeare. That was like the look that this guy, at that time, that was what I put this experience to. Like I always thought that whenever I saw a picture of William Shakespeare, I always thought of this man. And I don't think it was William Shakespeare. It might have been. I don't know why he was haunting my house, but he looked like that. I've panicked and screamed because I'm not thinking even ghost at this time. I'm thinking there's a man sitting there in my room, and he was sort of sitting there with his head in his fist, sort of looking up in my direction, but he didn't move at all. Like he didn't blink, as far as I'm aware. Didn't speak, didn't move. As far as I'm aware, I didn't see him move at all. But I've screamed, and my mum's come in the room. My brother stayed asleep somehow because I was quite emotional and crying and stuff. And I'm like, Mum, there's a man in my room. And this guy's not disappeared or anything. He's still there. And my mum's going, like, trying to calm me down. And she's gone over to where he was. And I don't know if she's gone through him or anything like that, but she's come back to the bed and she's like, there's no one there. You need to calm down. And I'm like, I want to get in your room. Like I was just like a mess. But my mum's kind of got a little bit angry with me. And she'll hear this interview and she'll say sorry again, because every time I talk about this, she says sorry, and I'm like, you ain't got to say sorry anymore. It's okay. Like it's why I'm here today. It's put me in this position because it was my big experience as a kid. But anyway, so she says sorry, but at the time she made me stay in the room, so I couldn't. I was just like stuck. I've got to go under my covers. So it's exactly what I did. I went under the covers, and I just remember sweating and just like being so scared. And she'd gone out the room now, and I'm looking, and this guy was still there. Like he's not disappeared. He's not moved at all, as far as I'm aware. And this went on all night. So all night I was like crying, sweating, just laying in my bed, and somehow I fell asleep that night, even though I kept looking, and I don't know how I fell asleep. And woke up next morning, I've looked straight away. I remember, obviously he wasn't there anymore. He was gone. I did have other experiences in that house and saw some other things, but that was the last time I'd ever saw whatever that man was. And for me, I was just that was the moment because I knew that wasn't a dream. I knew I was seeing something. That was, I've woke up during the night and seen things as a kid, as I say, and I don't know if that's just a kid's imagination or what. This guy was, it was real. I was seeing it, and yeah, very strange, man. But that was a big moment for me.
Yeah, it's really weird that you say about being scared of the dark, because I would not say that I'm scared of the dark. However, I will say that I'm always cautious of the dark. Mm-hmm. And even when I go on an investigation, I'm 60 this year, and I don't look it. I look 30.
Man. Yeah,
I look 35. Thanks.
You do.
but I still will not have my back against a doorway, a window, or any kind of entrance or exit. I have to have my back against a solid wall, even when I'm doing investigations. Like, and it's like I've never been, like, say, as far as I know, I've never been paranoid of the dark or anything like that.
Mhm.
But I always do it. So I always look and find a position. I'm standing over there.
Yeah.
and,
It's
and
just like, sorry,
come on,
man.
sorry, carry on.
I was going to say
Carry on.
it's just like a natural fear. I think some of us have. Like, obviously, a lot of us are scared of the dark, especially when we're kids. And I don't know if that goes back to, obviously, I don't know. It's in us that bad things can be in the dark that we can't see, obviously. But I don't know if because of the experiences I've had, it's sort of that's carried on, man. And I can never
Yeah.
rest in the dark.
But it's really weird because if this guy wasn't moving but he was looking at you, if you knew then what you knew now, would you say that it was a residual haunting or an intelligent haunting?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. And it's a thing that I've sort of gone over in my head. And the more I do the podcast and tell people this, like obviously like yourself, they'll come up with, a different idea of what this could be. I will say that he, like, obviously there was no lights on, but I could see colour, which is kind of a weird thing. Like, I could see that he had a brown suit on. So I'm not saying he was glowing, because he wasn't glowing, but it was like, kind of like, possibly that you sort of say he was sitting there during the day and you took that image and put it there at night. It still looked, it wasn't glowing. It's very hard to explain, but I could see color in his
Yeah,
face and stuff,
yeah.
and color in the suit. So,
And it's really weird because, like I said to you on Facebook today, that I was coming back from the US, and we're doing an investigation in this like Scottish inn in a place called Casanova, New York State. Fantastic location. It's got bars in the basement. I'll send you some of the pictures later to show you. And it's got some amazing features. It's a Scottish bar. And you get a whiskey when you walk through the door. Fabulous.
oh wow,
Yeah. But I was talking with my colleagues, and it's like, the thing is, if you experience something or I experience something, it's a personal experience. I can't take that away from you. You can't take it away from me. We know what happened. Can we prove it? No. And the perfect example, we finished about 1:30, 2 a.m. this morning, because we did Saturday night and Sunday night. I just got into bed. I'd turned the lights off. Curtains were closed, so it was black. And it's in the old-fashioned four-poster bed with the blankets, not the duvet. And sometimes when you're just settling down in bed, you feel like the blankets kind of settle, and you don't think anything of it. And that happened about 2 or 3 minutes after I'd closed my eyes. Didn't think, but then I got a more solid, like as though someone was sitting on the bed. It's like, I opened my eyes, and for a split second, I just saw this white, like a white sheet, not a white sheet, but it's like just a whiteness go across for a split second, and then it disappeared. And I'm like, did I imagine that?
yeah.
And I was like, but we were staying in one of the. There was three of us. The two guys were in one room. I was in the other, in the two most haunted rooms of this hotel. And earlier on the Saturday, we had a cupboard door open that can't open unless you lift the latch. And it's like, well, crap. So yeah, I don't know if I imagined it. Like, you knew you were seeing a guy sat at the table, but this white thing that shut. Did I imagine it? I don't think I did, because I was still awake because I hadn't settled down long enough. But can I explain it? No. But it was a personal experience to me. Like yours was a personal experience. Your brother was still asleep. So it's a really weird that most of the paranormal experiences are of personal experience, not of like mass hysteria, loads of people seeing the same thing. that's important for people when they talk about paranormal activity, I think.
100%. And you can doubt yourself. Like when you have these experiences, you're like, you can, like, especially when I started doing Let's Get Freaky podcasts, because I've got this thing that I feel like when you look into the paranormal and explore it, it looks back, and you whether it's because you're open to it and you're thinking about it or whatever, there seems to be, once you start really looking into it, you're going to experience stuff. And I noticed a big uptick of things happening once I started Let's Get Freaky podcast. I've had experiences throughout my life, and it has always really scared me, and it still does scare me. But I noticed things happening around me once I'd started the podcast as well, and I was like, is this because you're thinking about it all the time, and like maybe you manifest it in your mind, which is possible as well, I guess. But I don't know, man. I've had too much stuff that's happened that I know it's not imagination, or but you can doubt yourself for sure.
Exactly. But you now know that I'm going to ask about some of these other experiences.
Oh, man. There's been a lot. It's been a lot. So
Make a list.
Yeah. So in that same room as well, I'll tell you, my brother did have an experience as well. He woke up one night, and my brother's a lot more skeptical than I am. Even though he's had quite a few experiences. And I've even had an experience with him as well, which was UFO related. We'll get into that later if you want. But he's still very skeptical, and that's great. That's what I think. You should be skeptical to an extent. He woke up one night in the same room. Now he's 3 years younger than me, so he would have been, I think, around 7'6" when this happened. But he saw two red eyes, and they started just floating towards him, and then they disappeared. And obviously that scared him a lot, obviously as a kid. And that was his experience of what he saw in the house. But he also did experience like the weird vibes and stuff that we all did as well. But in that same house as well, this was after I'd saw the guy. And this was a weird one because it was during the day. I wasn't in that, at nighttime scared mode. It was during the day. I was in my mum and dad's bedroom. And they had like mirrors in their room. And I was sort of like, I can't remember what I was doing, but I was like in front of their mirror dancing and stuff, just being silly. And my mum and dad had like an ensuite bathroom in their bedroom. And I remember I was in the mirror, and I saw this lady, blonde, naked lady in the corner of my eye. But I think I sort of saw her in the mirror first, and I've turned to look, and I've seen this blonde, naked lady walking into the bathroom. Now, I saw this, and at the time I just thought it was my mum, because she was blonde and she would sometimes walk around the house naked. It wasn't the most strangest thing. So I just thought it was my mum. So I've seen this lady walk into, and I've gone, Mum, started talking to her, and I've followed her into the bathroom and got into the bathroom. I'm talking away, and there was nothing in there. And I was like, what? I was just so confused. I was like, I've just seen my mum walk past. And I just remember running downstairs. My mum was in the kitchen, fully clothed. And I was like, Mum, was you? Obviously, she wasn't. But I was like, Mum, was you in the bathroom? Did you just walk past me? And she was like, no. Like, and that was another thing that I saw that I can't explain. But yeah, man, it was a very strange house. I didn't like being on my own in there. Like, I remember one time I was off sick from school, and you could see from one of the back windows, you could see the school. And my mum was like, she probably shouldn't have left me, but she went, you stay looking out the window and you'll see me walk round, and I won't be long, and I'm going to pick up your little brother. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I just remember sitting by the window just terrified because I was on my own in the house. And obviously I can't remember exactly how old I was, probably around 10 as well, 11, 10. But I was petrified of just being in the house. It's very strange, man.
Now that you're from Essex, but I'll still call you a grown up. I won't hold that against you. Are you aware of any paranormal activity occurring in that house after you left?
No, and I would love to. I'd love to talk to the people that moved in, and I possibly one day I can go back. It's not too far from where my family still live now, so I could go back and check it out. I'd love to know. I would love to know. I'm sure they do. I mean, I'm sure they do, but yeah, I don't know. The house itself wasn't like an old house. I don't know exactly how old it was when we moved in, but it wasn't like a super old house. But it was right next to, or half a mile away, was a graveyard.
Right.
So there could have been something coming in. I described it to someone what I saw, and they said it. I can't remember who it was, but they said it sounds like a highwayman, and obviously the history of highwaymen in that area was huge at the time. It could have been
Yeah.
someone like that. That we know that the house, the lady that we bought the house off, we found out that her husband died, we believe, in the house. We're not 100% sure of that, but we found that out, and we believe he was a doctor, and his office was directly underneath our bedroom. Don't know if that was him. I don't know if he dressed up like William Shakespeare on the weekend, and possibly. But
Who
yeah, I
knows?
don't know. But I'd love to find out if the people living there now experience stuff. I'm sure they do.
Oh, that sounds like a road trip to me, buddy.
Let's go.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So after you had those experiences at home, at what point in your life did you decide that I've not been scared enough as a kid? I'm going to continue my paranormal adventure, and I'm going to start a podcast about the paranormal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was always still fascinated by it, like forever. Even though it scared me so much, like I still had this fascination. I'd still watch Most Haunted, and those sort of shows, and I'd love watching them, and I'd love going to like spooky places, which there's loads in the UK. I know there is in Canada as well, but it wasn't until I had a UFO experience when I was 14, which was quite strange. You want me to go there? Because that was probably the next big thing that I can remember.
Go it. Do it, dude.
So it was a summer's day. I remember it was a beautiful summer's day, and this is quite strange because it was quite a big moment. I'll explain why it was strange. But so we're all, me, my brother, and a few other friends were playing football in the street, or soccer for our US.
No, it's
Canada.
football. I'm from the UK,
It
dude.
is
It's
football. Yeah, it is football. It's 100%, man. So we was playing football as we always did, and we was literally right outside our house. We had like we was in a cul-de-sac, so it was a safe place to play football. And we were all just playing. I can't remember what friends were there, but it was me and my brother, because we was always playing with different kids and stuff. But one of us stopped and said, like, "What is that in the sky?" Now this is kind of like, UFOs have always been a thing, but this is going back. So I was 14, so this is going back. I'm trying to do quick maths. Over 20 years now. I'm 37. Yeah. I'm 37 now. This is going back, and UFOs wasn't like the talking point that it is now. Like ufology now is huge, but it was obviously UFOs have always been a big subject. But we looked up, and there was this. It was just basically. It sounds so wild, but it was like a futuristic building that you would see in Dubai, and imagine just picking that up and just putting it like really up high in the sky, but we could see it, and it was just floating. It was just floating, and we was like watching this thing, like trying to work out what it was. Like, is it a balloon? I mean, we was watching it for 5-10 minutes, whatever it was, and it didn't move. So don't think it was a balloon, and it was like orangey silver color, and it was just this really weird shape, and we're watching it. We couldn't work out what it was. It was like nothing any of us had seen. And what really bugs me is that we just started playing football again. I nearly said soccer. We started playing football again, and we never saw this thing disappear. As far as I'm aware, like none of my friends, even my brother, we didn't talk about it. It just was, this memory was put to the back of our mind. But it was such an incredible thing to see, when I look back. And now, if I saw something like that, I would watch it for days to try and work out what it was. Obviously, we've all got phones now, so we can camera it. And at the time, I think I had a Nokia brick, the Nokia brick that we all had back in the day, which had Snake on it, and that was about it, which was a great game. Yeah. But that's all I had when I was 14. So I couldn't obviously take a picture of this thing or whatever, but it was an incredible thing to see. But the memory wasn't gone. But when I started Let's Get Freaky podcast, I kind of write down all the things I'd experienced throughout my life that I could remember. And this memory didn't come back, and it was very strange. And I was on Paranormal Heart podcast with Cat Ward, and it was the first time I'd done any, like, I'd been a guest on a show, and I'm kind of sharing my experiences, and this memory popped into my mind, and I was like, I'm going to tell her. I don't know if I'm going crazy, but I remember this happening, and I told her what had happened, and my brother listened to the podcast like a couple of days after it came out, and he rung me up and he said, "Bruv, what was that thing we saw that day? I remember it. I remember seeing it." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so glad you've remembered that." And I'm just not like going crazy and just, making up some memory. Like, we both had this memory, and we both never talked about it after it.
Wow.
And that's very strange, I find.
Yeah.
But I'm just so glad that he remembered seeing this thing as well,
And I think that's really important, the fact that multiple people saw the same thing. Because a lot of events that occur within the paranormal, as I said earlier, is a solo vision or solo whatever. It's one person experiences it or sees it. But if multiple people see it, you've got more validation that what you saw is something weird.
Yeah.
And then sort of like you can talk about it or not, as the case may be, because football is more important.
Well, it is, yeah. But that still really bugs me that we didn't sort of watch it and see it fly off or disappear.
But it's a typical British thing, because I remember being on holiday in Greece many moons ago, and I'm with my partner at the time, and there was an earthquake at like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. Typical Brit thing. She goes, "What's that?" And I went, "It's an earthquake. Go back to sleep." But it's just like, okay, typical Brit thing.
We're not in danger. We're not in danger.
Exactly. Yeah, no problem.
We are.
Yeah. So you decided to do the Let's Freaky podcast, and you said you've been doing it for 3 years.
It's coming up to 3 years at the end of June. So 3 years ago, I put my first episode out. I still don't really know what I'm doing, to be honest, but I love doing it, man. Meeting people like you, and I have these wild conversations most nights and stuff, and it's just great, man. It's great, and I love hearing people's experiences and trying to, because we don't really know what's going on with the paranormal. Some people have got some good ideas, but we don't really have the answers yet. Obviously, the more we talk about it, and I think we're getting to a point now where people are more open to discuss this stuff, and I think that's really cool. Like, you'll meet someone who you work with or whoever, you'll meet someone, and I'm sure you do this as well. The first thing you'll ask is, have they had any paranormal experiences? Because we're really into this stuff. And
exactly.
Sometimes a lot of the time, some people go, no, but there was this one time, and they'll tell you this wild story. And I find it so interesting that most people have had some sort of experience.
That's it. And I've actually got my license plate actually says I'd rather be ghost hunting. So it's like, But it's really weird, because when I first started this podcast, and I only started end of February. So, but people say that I'm really good at talking, and I talk a lot. So if anybody should do it, it should be me. Oh, thanks. Yeah, cheers. And when I decided that I was going to do a paranormal podcast, I thought the easiest thing to do is Google the word paranormal, see what comes up. And people think it's just ghosts and spirits. But when you do that, and it comes up with ghosts, spirits, UFOs, cryptids, demonology, fairies, I decided that I was not going to just focus on ghost or spiritual experiences. I was going to cover everything within the paranormal and try and get as many different people to talk to. And I've spoken to some really cool people, and I've made some really good friends, especially for people like yourself in the UK. Even though you do support the wrong football team.
I apologise, man.
Yeah, as you should. But the fact that some people have got some fantastic stories. I was talking to Kate Ray, don't know if you know her, the specialises in non-human entities and fairies. I'm releasing her podcast this week.
Awesome.
And to talk about fairies, and I'm just like, and it's like, wow. And I released one a couple of weeks ago talking about near-death experiences, and it's like, for somebody to stop me stop me talking and for me to have a wide open mouth. I'm like, this is a good person to talk.
Yeah,
Really, really
for
cool.
sure. I've got this thing, and I try not to do it. I really do. And people have commented on on my social medias and stuff. I say wow quite a lot when I talk to people. I go wow, and I don't mean to do that. I really don't. It's like a natural thing that someone will tell me something incredible, and I'm like, wow. And I say it a lot, and I try not to. I'm like, oh, people are going to get bored of you saying wow all the time. But it's so amazing, man. And it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny you say about fairies as well. I had an experience very recently. I know it sounds wild, but I just don't know where to put this one. And it literally happened. It's got to be a couple of months ago now. I lose track of time, but it was this. It's going to sound wild, but it was like so around this sort of time I just finished recording the podcast, and I switch off, and I can't. I don't know about you, but I can't go straight to bed after talking and doing this. I can't. I have to wind down, watch something, have a cup of tea, maybe, and chill out. But it was around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, I really should go to bed, or I'm going to struggle in the morning getting up, and I went into my room, and it was pitch black, and gone over to the bed, and the wife's in bed, and two of my kids are in the bed as well. And I was like, I can't wake them up. They're going to school. They're getting up to school at 6:30. I can't get them up now. So I'm just going to set up a camp on the floor, and I'll sleep there till they go, and then I'll get in bed. But so I'm laying there. I've set up a little bed, and I'm wide awake. So I'm not tired or anything, and I'm just laying there in the dark. But I'm fine because they're in there, so I'm not scared now because they're there. And this, so the size of a pen, say, and it was like a golden light, and it came into the room, and it sort of flew around the room, this light, right? And I've looked at this, and I've gone straight in my mind, I've just seen a fairy. Right, and I know that sounds crazy, and I'm not saying this definitely was a fairy. I don't know what it was, but that was just my first thought. It didn't look like an orb or anything like that. It looked just like a gold light, like a little Tinkerbell, right? To me. And I know that sounds wild. And so straight away, I'm like, okay, no one's going to believe that I've just seen a fairy. Let me try and debunk this. So I had my phone next to me, and that was off, but I picked it up to try and see if the phone light would make a similar kind of light. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't a car light because, we've got quite thick curtains and the light doesn't get through, and not many cars drive past where I live at night, so you never see car lights basically. So it wasn't that, and I was like, I can't work out what this gold light was, but I followed it fly around the room, and in my mind I was like, I've just seen a fairy. Now I talk to people all the time that have these experiences, so it is in my mind, this stuff, but the only thing I can think of, like a logical explanation, is that I had an issue in my eye, and I've seen something, but I don't think it was that, because I feel like I would see that more often if that was the case. But yeah, it's very strange, man. And that was quite recent.
Yeah.
That was a couple of months ago.
And that's the interesting thing about the paranormal, because you have to try to debunk it more than what you have to convince people that it was real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we were I'm a firm believer in when people start talking about orbs, I'm always going, okay, it's dust, it's a bug, it's whatever. Until this weekend, in one of the hotel rooms, we were doing some personal like exercises. Two of us are watching the NVR system, and this guy's in a room by himself. The fact that us two were in the bathroom is completely irrelevant. And we saw this spiraling orb, and it was big. And it's like, what the hell was that? And you could just see it spiral down. And we're not quite sure if it was one or if it was two that were very close together. So we waited until he'd finished his experiment, told him about it, went back to the NVR, played it back. And it's like, what the hell was it? Yeah, it wasn't a bug. It wasn't a piece of dust, because it was far too big. And then we're looking at the ceiling, and it's got like you know how they get this like plaster on the ceiling, but it's not. It looked like it's unfinished plaster.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that. Okay, was it a flake that had fallen down? Well, if that was the case, it would be on the chair, it would be on the floor, and there was absolutely nothing. And it's like, what the hell did we see? We knew we saw something because we got it caught on camera, but it wasn't an orb in the normal sense of the word because it was far too big. It was huge.
Interesting.
So,
Yeah.
so it's like, what the actual hell did we see?
Yeah, man.
And like we're extremely like there's three of us core members of the team, but we do have other members as well. And we are firm skeptics with open minds. If we see something, we will try and debunk the shit out of it as far as possible. But there comes a certain time when you can't debunk it any further. You've just got to. But we don't then go, well, that was a ghost or that was a fairy, or we just go, we've got a pile here that's called unexplained. And we put things on the unexplained pile.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, yeah. So the weird things that I've explained about what happened this weekend, I was like,
yeah, man.
And what? So you must have experienced or spoken to people that have had similar experiences to what you and I have had.
Oh, for sure.
Do you want to share some of those stories and people that you've interviewed?
Yeah, I've interviewed a lot of people now, man, and I find it fascinating how a lot of these experiences collaborate with each other, you know. And what's another thing that I find interesting as well is when you talk to someone that's had like a cryptid encounter, or someone that's got a ghost in their house, or even someone that's seeing UFOs and stuff. A lot of the time, the experiences are very similar. They're just a different, it's just in a different location, or and these things, they really seem to be connected somehow, and I find that very interesting. But man, there's been a lot. I find personally, I love cryptids. I've only got a few encounters that could possibly, and I say personal experiences with possible. I can't say it's definitely a cryptid experience that I've had, but I find talking to people that have had cryptid experiences unbelievable. I love it, man. Especially Bigfoot. When I hear Bigfoot stories, it was another big reason why I started Let's Get Freaky, just so I could talk to people that had seen Bigfoot. And I've talked to many people now that I feel like you get a sense as well with people that you can trust that they've seen whatever they've seen. But I'm trying to think of do you want like my favorite experiences that I've heard, or
go for it, dude? This is all about you. I'm only the host.
No. I'm trying to think. There's been so many good ones, man.
Nothing like putting you on the spot.
Yeah,
but come on,
no.
I'm waiting.
I spoke to someone last week, and I'm so bad at forgetting names. John Baranchuk. Oh, sorry, man. Sorry, John, if you're listening. He's an incredible Bigfoot researcher. He told me an experience. Like I'm fascinated that because obviously in the cryptid world, it's the big argument: are these things flesh and blood, or are they supernatural? And I'm sort of in the middle. But I'd like to think that there are creatures out there that are like flesh and blood that we just haven't caught up with yet, or we just can't. And I think that is very possible. But he was I can't remember what part of the US he was in, but he was on a Bigfoot investigation, and he was with other people as well. Other people saw this as well, but he was seeing like what they believed to be around 20 sets of eye shine, quite high up, or about 6 foot tall, I think they were. And for me, that was like amazing that he's seen possibly like a family of Sasquatch, say, That was a good one very recent. Oh, there's been loads, man. There's been so many. Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And it's like, it's really cool. One of the very first episodes that I was released, that I recorded, I should say, not released, was a Bigfoot investigator that is from New Jersey. And I asked him a question that put him on the spot. And that question was, feel free to use this next time you speak to a cryptid investigator. If you categorically could prove the existence of a Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
would you announce it to the world or would you keep it quiet?
That's a good question, man. I
Yeah.
think
And well, you answer, and then I'll tell you what he said.
I think I'd be a hypocrite if I said I'd keep it quiet because I do a paranormal podcast and I'm basically doing that to share the knowledge. So I would, yeah, I'd put it out there, 100%, man, 100%.
Yeah.
I think people should know, you know.
But the thing is, he said the complete opposite because he spends a lot of his life looking for this creature
Mm-hmm.
and trying to prove that it exists. If he could prove that, then every man and his dog would turn up at that location.
Yeah, true.
They would
Yeah.
destroy their habitat.
Mm-hmm.
If they caught one, what would they do with it?
Yeah.
So the
Humans
fact that
tend to destroy things.
exactly the fact that he wants to protect that species,
Mm-hmm.
he would not reveal that location. He might tell people about it, but he
Oh,
wouldn't say
sorry.
where.
Oh, the location. Sorry, man. Yeah, no,
No,
no.
that's
So,
okay, yeah.
yeah,
But even so, yeah,
I agree with that. And I've talked to many people that are in highly active Sasquatch locations, or claim to be in these locations where there's a lot of sightings, and they get a lot of activity, Bigfoot activity. And a lot of the times, you're right, they won't say what that location is, and it's for the same reason normally that
yeah,
it's protecting areas. I've talked to people, especially in the US, like that. I've talked to people that say they know families that have these creatures outside their homes and they like interact with them and stuff. Now that kind of blows my mind. But again, I'm not in that position, so
yeah,
it's hard for me to say no. That's not how can that be? You'd have pictures and it'd be
yeah,
out there. You can't say that because it's a personal. It's personal to that family, and
exactly.
so it's very difficult.
Yeah. And one thing that I find interesting, if you mention the word cryptid, sometimes you may have to explain what that is.
Mm-hmm.
But once you do, it's always Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Loch Ness, kind of the favourites. But I know that you've done podcasts on other cryptids like the Dog Man and stuff like that.
Yes.
So can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, man. And the dogman seems to be a growing topic as well.
It
Now,
does. It does. You're
in
right.
my mind, I'm like, is it possible that these things are just another type of Bigfoot? I think it's down to the witness. What have they seen? But there does seem to be a lot of people, and I've spoke to many people that claim to have seen a 6 foot tall canine creature. It looks like an Alsatian, but it's standing up. I spoke to a lady last week. I put an episode out last week, and it was called "Dogman Gives Chase," and that's because where she lived in Texas, she was when she was very young, she saw one of these creatures in her forest. And at the time, she said she didn't know what this thing was, but she described it as like a canine bipedal creature, and her house was filled with weird going on, spooky stuff. And she was actually living on I believe it was a Native American burial ground, something, or cursed land as she called it. So there was a lot of high strangeness going on in the area she was in. She witnessed one of these creatures when she was very young, and then again when she was a little bit older and she was driving one night, she saw one of these creatures and it chased her car.
Wow.
And she said she like obviously she's driving and this thing is keeping up with the car, but she
Yeah.
eventually lost it. And she didn't know what this thing was. And she said that she listened to Let's Get Freaky and heard other people describe these things and was like, that's what I saw. So she got in touch and very kindly came on the show and shared her experience. It's very hard for people to share these experiences
Yeah.
because unless you've had them, a lot of people are like, oh no, there's no dog man on, there's no Bigfoot. But, there's a lot of evidence to support these things. And it's very hard for people that have not experienced anything to say, they believe it, but we do.
Exactly. And that's it. But until you get concrete evidence, you have to have an open mind. You can't just say that does not exist.
100%.
And I had a friend when I told him that I did this and I do paranormal investigation. He's going, yeah, it's all complete bull. And I went, oh, so what evidence do you have to prove that fact? He went, you what? I went, well, you must have some evidence. He went, oh no, it's just crap. And I went, okay. And I opened up and I said, look, we are investigators, so our job is to try to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
If we can debunk it, we will. But if we can't debunk it, then we can't explain what it is. And if I get any audio, if I get a video, I will send it to a friend of mine who's got some whiz kids that deal with audio and video, and they'll come back and go, "Yeah, audio wasn't tampered with, video wasn't tampered with." And they do the wavelength thing. The voice. He goes, "Yeah, it wasn't your voice. It was something, different tone of voice." And like you get that evidence as well to go. So then go right. This is the evidence,
Mm-hmm.
and they go, "I've got no answer for that."
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I love it when I can put people on the spot and go, I've got this evidence that I can't believe what it is. I'm not saying it's a ghost or whatever, but it's the same for like cryptids and UFOs and stuff like that.
100%, man. I find a lot of people that dismiss the paranormal, and I feel like those people are normally people that want to be in control of every situation. And obviously, with as you know and I know, that you can't control when you're going to have a weird paranormal experience. This stuff just seems to happen out of nowhere. You can't control the paranormal. So I feel like that's largely what I've experienced with people that are like dismissive of this sort of thing, is that they're very much people that are like in control of their lives. They don't want any of this paranormal stuff that could scare them through the night. And I get that.
And there's always two other sorts of people: those that deny it exists potentially have had something happen that they can't explain.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or they're just I don't believe anything unless it's black and white in front of me. End of story. People go, I don't believe in UFOs. I don't believe in aliens. Okay, so what you're telling me is the size of our universe, we're only one universe out of X amount of other universes. Are you telling me that we're the only humanoid species out of all these millions and millions of planets?
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me that we're the only one?
Yeah.
It's impossible. You'd be naive to think that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so many people, I'm sure you have as well, seen things in the sky that you can't explain. Like so many people, like most people have seen something, was it a satellite and then it started moving in a crazy direction? There's so much out there. Like if you're constantly looking up, you're going to see some weird stuff. Yeah, that's for sure.
That's it. And one of the most popular ones right now is the SpaceX Skytrain.
Yes.
So once the rocket takes off, they launch the satellites for the first 24 hours or whatever. They all carry. We've seen that at a friend's house out in the sticks. It looks really cool. But if you don't know about SpaceX and you don't know about the satellites, you're going to think that's a UFO.
Yeah.
Technically, it is a UFO. It's unidentified. It's flying, and it's an object.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's as simple as that. But I want a DAP camera. These are I'm not sure if you know what one of them is, but it scans the skies and anything it picks up, it's like, this is a drone, this is a bird, this is an aircraft. I don't know what that is. And I want one of them, but it's stupidly expensive.
Yeah, I bet. I want one though. That sounds cool.
Yeah. Okay. You speak to your wife, I'll speak to mine, and then we'll So tell me some more stories about if you had to pick a top 5 out of all your episodes.
That's a difficult one, man. That's very difficult. I find that's a good I can they're all I've loved it. Everyone I talk to, I love them all, man. I've loved every episode. Even like episodes that you would say, that's probably not that scary. But it's not just about scary, it's about just real experiences. And, sometimes it's the small things that people describe that are like really amazing, like those little details. Let me just remind myself of some episodes, man.
Because you're getting old and your memories going.
Oh, man, I had an episode very recently. Oh, where is it, man? I forget the names of them as well.
Are you sure your podcast
Yeah, I
host?
know, man. I'm sorry. I am terrible with names and stuff. Eric Mental. Have you heard of Eric Mental?
I have not.
He was on very recently. He was on twice very recently, actually. And we had an episode called "The Beast of Bray Road," which is a very famous
Oh
cryptid
yes, yeah,
in the
yes,
US.
yeah, yeah,
And he
yeah.
had an experience, and he's an investigator, paranormal investigator that looks into like you do all the aspects of the paranormal. And he was in, where is the Beast of Bray Road? That is in,
No pressure.
where's Green Bay Packers based? Oh my gosh, how's this the name?
Don't know. That's a funny sport that I don't follow.
Milwaukee. Is it Milwaukee? No. Oh my gosh, where's my brain gone tonight? Anyway, he was there. He was in the area where the Beast of Bray Road is sited.
Wisconsin,
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
How have I forgot that, man? Anyway, yeah, Wisconsin, and he had an experience where he heard they were hearing like strange growling and stuff, and they were filming in the sort of area that it's seen, and I think he saw the eye shine of a tall bipedal creature, and he caught this on camera as well. It's on his YouTube channel. That was a cool one very recently, and he also said as well that he sort of like had a town meeting where he invited people to come in because so many people have seen this thing, and he said it was just amazing to hear like all these people sharing their experiences. And I've talked to someone else as well that was in the same area that doesn't think he saw. I think he's quite a skeptical guy, and he said something ran at him in the bushes in the forest that he was in that area, and I was like, man, I think you saw the Beast of Bray Road, and he was like, nah, no, it wasn't that, he doesn't know what it was, but he said it was like a big thing like running at him. I was like,
Yeah.
that's the Beast of Bray Road, man. I jumped to the paranormal. I talked to I had Paul Stobbs on the show recently, and he had an incredible Bigfoot encounter in the UK. And
Oh, right.
that's a touchy one as well. But a lot of people have seen Bigfoot in the UK. There's a lot of reports coming out now where people are talking out. For me, I kind of think that if they're here in the UK, there might be more of a supernatural element to them because 8 foot tall, 7 foot tall. In the UK, you feel like there'd be a lot more sightings if they were there. But so many people are seeing them, man. And
Yeah,
this guy, like I said before, you get a knowing that they're telling you the truth, and his experience, he was in Scunthorpe, or near Scunthorpe, up north in the UK, and he was a DJ, and he was driving home. It wasn't Paul Stobbs. Oh, that was someone else. Let me get his name because
yeah. You're going to insult him now, aren't
I
you?
know, and I can't do that because he's such a cool dude, man. Let me just get the name quickly.
Do you
Come
want
on,
me to
Tommy.
press pause?
Yeah, I should have it here. Yeah, if you don't mind, man. And then oh no, I've got it. Steve Dinsdale. Sorry, Steve. I'm so bad with names. I forget my own kids' names. To be fair,
What are they? What are your kids called?
Amy, Ruby, and Freddie. And I had to really think about that. I forget their ages and their names. But yeah, so Steve saw this. So he's driving home after he was a DJ at the time. And it was in 1994 this happened. And he was driving home from a set he said it was like a quiet road. And he saw something in the road walk across this giant bipedal, hairy. Now, he doesn't actually give it the name Bigfoot. He doesn't know what this was. And I find that interesting as well. Like he explained it to me and I said, that sounds like a Bigfoot. And he's like, yeah, it does fit the description of a Bigfoot. I don't want to say it's definitely that though, but that is what I saw. And I believe it was carrying like a rabbit or something as well. And he saw
Wow.
this thing walk, and he said he's stopped and he's got a great look at this thing and the car light is shining on it. And he said he could actually see like the condensation coming out from its breathing. And for me, I was like, wow, that is
Yeah,
incredible. And I know he's telling the truth.
yeah,
He saw
yeah.
that. And that was a very recent one as well. But it's been so
Because
many,
one
man.
thing, yeah, because one thing that I found is that in the UK, it doesn't tend to be Bigfoot orientation. It tends to be big cat.
Yes.
There's a lot of on the Dartmouth moors and stuff like that. Whereas over here, it tends to be bipedal, 6, 7 foot tall, like humanoid creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And it's but even the Mothman or the Dogman, again, bipedal, humanoid of origin. So it's very difficult to explain what you saw unless you've black and white in front of you,
Mm-hmm.
or obviously color.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to actually do that because 9 times out of 10, it's during the nighttime hours. If you're in the woods, you've got a lot of trees, a lot of branches obscuring your view. And what always makes me and the wife really laugh is when you watch some of these TV shows and they put this footage on, and it's a case of quick, put your camera to blurry. Because like some of them are so poor quality, and it's like, in this day and age, you've got 4K on your phones and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely no reason to have really bad quality.
Yeah. I will say though, this happened. This is not paranormal, but this happened in the New Forest a couple of months ago as well. And me, my wife, and my kids were walking through the forest, and we came across 3 deers, and they were like beautiful deers, like had their antlers and stuff, and they looked really cool. And one of them was white. I've never seen a white deer in the wild before. It's a really cool thing to see. And I was like, I've got to get a picture of this. And I've literally got my phone out, and they were all gone. And I was like, that for me sort of shows you, like, if you saw like a Bigfoot or a Dogman, like, to get a picture of these, like, they're normally most people will tell you when they see these things, it lasts for like 2 seconds. It's normally across the road, or you see it and it's gone. And for me, I think that's why there's not many. Because I also had an experience with my mother-in-law. This is going back. So I was in my late sort of 20s when this happened. I think I was around 27, something like that, when this happened. So it was a little while ago. We were in a block of flats. We were on the 4th floor of a small block of flats, and we were on the 4th floor. And again, it was a beautiful summer's day, a really nice day, very clear sky. And me and my mother-in-law was sort of standing at the window looking out of the flat, and there was like a little forested area across the road. And we're just talking, and all of a sudden 3 objects came out of the forest. And that very strange. They weren't really that big. They were like the size of like a basketball, say. And there was like 3 of them, and they were sort of moving around each other in sort of a triangular sort of fashion, but they weren't actually touching. They weren't connected. They were just 3 different objects, and they were like constantly changing shape. Like, they were never the same shape. They were constantly changing. They were like, in the Terminator when he's melting and he's like that silver.
Oh yeah.
It was like that. Like that's what it looked like. There's 3 of them, and they were like constantly changing shape. And me and my mother-in-law are watching this, and we're going, "What the heck is that? What are they?" And we had a great look, and they were like right in front of us, and they were just sort of floating around and just going up. We're like, "Are they balloons?" What? Just trying to work out what they are. And honestly, it was such a weird thing to see. And all of a sudden, that they got so high up in the sky, and we followed them the whole way, and they went flash, 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 and just shot off. All 3 of them shot off. And me and my mother-in-law were like, "Wow, that's incredible." And when we're at family parties now, we talk about that all the time. And people are like, "Really? Did you see that? Or was that they were balloons? They sound like they're balloons." Like, no, they definitely weren't balloons. And the way they shot off was like nothing I'd seen.
Yeah.
But the thing that's annoying, I had my iPhone in my pocket at the time, so I could have got a picture of it or a video, and I didn't. And I didn't even think of that at the time, and then that.
Yeah, because it's like, what is it?
Yeah.
And it's really like interesting that you say that, because like you say, you see something, I've got to get, it's gone.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So when I see a weird light in the sky now, I tend to not grab my phone. I would keep my eye on it until,
that's it. And funnily enough, the fact that I mentioned about this cupboard door opening, we've actually decided that as soon as we arrive on scene at any investigation, the first thing we're going to do is put body cams on before we do anything else, because we've noticed that there's things that we're missing because we're not set up correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we are coming to the end.
Oh no!
Unfortunately,
I've got more experiences, man.
Hey, this is what happens when we do part 2.
Yeah, I'll come back 100%. I'd love to come back.
Awesome. So, what would you say is your favourite paranormal topic?
That's a great question. It changes every day, to be honest. You know, I'm into different things all the time, and my opinion of the paranormal changes every day as well. It really does. Bigfoot and cryptids, I think, is probably my favourite. You know, I just find it so fascinating, man, and I love the idea that there's creatures out there that we can't explain yet in our oceans, in our forests, in our skies. And yeah, I'd say is my favourite at the moment. But I love it all. I love UFOs and
Yeah,
ghosts.
and that's it. And I would say that originally it was ghosts and spirits because I'm a big historian as well. I love my family tree, and I love, obviously, like all this behind me is from TV episode Sharp. So
Yeah,
the Napoleonic
is that a
Wars.
Home Alone house in the background there?
That is, yes,
Oh, Home Alone is my favourite, all-time
yeah,
favourite film. Loved that, man.
yeah. And I've also got my Doctor Who, and I've got my Ghost Shelf. But like these are all Sharp characters. But
Wow, yeah.
yeah, but like I say, I used to think that ghosts and spirits, but now I'm getting really intrigued with skinwalkers and that kind of cryptid, like the UFOs. Yeah, I kind of like talking about them. I've never experienced one, but probably until I do, then it will probably change. But I think right now, like ghosts and spirits and anything to do with hauntings, whether it's residual or intelligent or poltergeist, whatever. I think that's my focus right now. But like I say, I just love talking about all these different stories. Like you say, your cryptids, your UFOs. We haven't even touched on demonology.
Oh man,
And
yeah, yeah.
I've got an exorcist coming around in a few weeks' time, so we'll talk about that later.
Man, awesome stuff, man.
Anyway, my friend, yeah, Tommy, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's stupid o'clock in the morning in the UK.
That's okay. I live on US time basically, so it's
Oh, right. Tomorrow, I'll call you tomorrow at this time and see if you're still
yeah,
awake.
no, I definitely will be.
Yeah. Okay, my friend, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for your time, and there will definitely be a part two.
Let's go. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you.
Take care, my friend. Bye bye.